All right. Welcome, guys, to Some Young Guys.
Oh, yeah. Feels good to be back, honestly.
It does. It does. I came back from Vegas. You came back from Europe.
Came back from Europe, yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to Some Young Guys. I'm Lee Mack.
And I'm Carlos.
And we're here to solve the world's problems in a podcast.
We're happy to have you here again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell me about Europe.
Oh, man, dude. You say, going to Europe, so cool. Absolutely. But, when you think vacation, relaxing, hell no. There was no such thing as relaxing. I was like sleep deprived, tired 24/7. I got sick on the first couple of days I was there. And I was just like, man, fuck this.
But it was a good time, right?
It was a great time.
Okay.
Like, out of all that suffering, once you saw like the land, like, the historical landmarks, you were just like, damn, like Notre Dame. You see, Buckingham Palace. I forgot the tower's name, but
The Louvre.
I saw the Louvre in France. Yeah.
Eiffel Tower.
I saw the Eiffel Tower too. I even went to the top.
Which tower were you saying you forgot?
The one in London, the famous the clock one.
Big Ben.
Big Ben. Yes. I always forget that name. I don't know why. And then that famous bridge from Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah. I don't know the name of the bridge.
I forgot to. Yeah, I don't know. That was just.
It could just be London Bridge, honestly, because I'm pretty sure there is a bridge in London called London Bridge.
I think so.
I don't know. I've never been to Europe, so
it was cool. It was an awesome experience. Besides walking 40,000 steps a day,
it's good. Oh, that's
dude,
great.
I did not. I felt I had lost so much muscle. I feel like I lost a lot of muscle.
Well, we're gonna hit legs after this, so you get it all right back.
Oh God, no! Like I hit legs on the first day coming back, and the day after I landed because I got here at midnight. So, next morning I woke up and I'm like, all right, what should we hit first? And I hit legs.
The worst one. You should always hit the worst one first.
Dude, I'm still sore right now, and I got back on Tuesday.
Dang! So you hit legs on Tuesday or Wednesday?
Tuesday.
Okay.
No. Tuesday was the second, right?
Shoot, I don't even know, dude.
I don't know, but some of those Tuesday or Wednesday, I don't even know.
Gotcha.
But it was a great time. Got to see I enjoyed mostly France and Switzerland and Germany. London was like so for me. I just felt like London was just kind of like going to L.A. but not being a local. So you're just like, oh man, this is so cool. But at the same time, like it's like you're
the same as it's the same as. I mean, a lot of the cities, especially in Western countries like Europe, it's just kind of a lot of the same everywhere. Whether it's New York, LA, of course, there's going to be nuances and differences and stuff like that. Like Miami's going to be a very different vibe from LA, just because it's
I feel
it's
like
Miami.
it's very social,
yeah,
open.
But for the most part, a lot of the big cities, I feel like I haven't been all around the world, but from what I hear, it's pretty much the same vibe for the most part, aside from little nuances that are slightly different.
Yeah. In Paris, people were nice. I felt like people were like super kind and everything. My buddy didn't think so. He felt like, I feel like people were standoffish. I'm like, funny, because I felt that way in London. In Switzerland, everyone was super nice. Caring. It's a rich country.
Yeah.
But we kind of got lucky because like their franc, that's what their currency is called.
Oh, the franc?
Yeah. Is it franc or franc? I don't know.
I think it's the franc.
The franc?
Yeah.
Someone was calling it franc.
Maybe that's how they pronounce it, but
Weird.
here we call it a franc. I don't know.
Even know. And I was like, what? Looking up on Google, like, what's their currency called? And I kept seeing this name. And I'm like, I don't think that's that. And then my buddy and other people were saying, yeah, it's franc, whatever. And it had dropped. So it was like maybe like $1.60 something more. So if you were to buy something for $20 in American currency, it'd be $21.60.
Yeah.
So
that wasn't always the case. The U.S. dollar used to be a lot stronger.
A lot stronger.
It used to be the strongest currency, but now not so much.
Yeah, no. Switzerland used to be it's known to be a very expensive country, like very expensive. But went paragliding. It was awesome. That was an awesome experience. I was like, where are we landing, boys? It's like,
yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Man.
Yeah, back to the currency exchange rate. It's very interesting that like, what does it mean that among the first world countries, the developed countries, the U.S. dollar is beginning to become one of the weakest, versus in third world countries. Obviously, you would expect a first world country's currency to be a bit more valuable than a third world country's currency. But the fact that ours is declining in the way it is very telling of where we're at, especially looking at the way our politics are going.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting.
It's what I believe. I think if the dollar drops the year after it drops, Europe is going to drop hard too.
Yeah, probably. There's a lot of the first world countries kind of depend on America.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah,
a
big
lot
time,
of ways.
big time.
Yeah.
It's so funny. You would think, Europeans. I'm pretty sure they have money, and all that stuff. But my buddy and I were looking at the like the incomes, the salaries and stuff, and they don't make a lot. We were like, how it seems like they're making like bank, and then, like they're living lavishly, but it's like we're almost the same. Like I make just like my position, which is not like a very high position, but it's a pretty good position, in this economy where I'm able to travel, spend stuff, do stuff. But it's like I'm making just as much as a middle class worker in London, or like a higher middle class. And I was like, dude, really? Like how?
Yeah.
Like I don't understand. And I was like, I thought like people in London were like super rich and like they're just like I mean the way they dress, like their fashion is just beyond American. Like they made fun of me for wearing my Nikes with jeans. Like these
Interesting.
These Australians, like, because we went up to them, like, hey, like, is there any, like, what type of bars? Like, we're trying to look for like a chill pub and just have a drink, just kind of like enjoy the night. And they're like, oh, we're not from here either. We're visiting. And then we asked, like, can you like notice that we're like straight up Americans? And they're like, oh yeah, like first the accent, and then like they're like, oh, and then your buddy over there wearing runners with jeans, that's just like frowned upon. And they're all just laughing, and I was like.
Yeah, I definitely see like they're looking more at like boots. If you're gonna wear jeans, like boots and stuff like that, whereas Nikes are probably more for playing sports.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was wearing like my comfortable like Air Maxes. I took newer ones. I wasn't gonna wear my broken down ones, but I was like, damn, like back in America, like this is like the casual thing to wear.
Yeah, most people are wearing those. It's interesting. I mean, a lot of our fashion does come from Europe, so they're just it's likely that they're gonna be a little bit ahead of us in terms of fashion and stuff like that. Yeah, our fashion comes from Europe and LA, I would say, and New York. Europe, LA, and New York. Those are also areas that a lot of wealthy Europeans will travel to, also.
Or even like rappers. Like I feel like a lot of like influence in the media, like Kanye West, like. Yeah, when he's wearing those like Mario boots, and then you see it like all over like social media. Like not everyone's gonna wear that because that's kind of ridiculous, but
it is.
You see some people wearing it. I was like, bro, what?
What is this?
Yeah, for real.
Interesting.
But just to wrap it all up about the European trip, it was awesome. Like the culture, the people, like everyone's super nice over there, super kind, very friendly, open. You'd be surprised. You would never see. Someone that's like 18 through 25 traveling for like 3-4 months, like by themselves or with another buddy. Like, cause we met these 2 girls that were from Australia, super cool, super like nice, very friendly, funny, very like, heartwarming. They're like, oh, laughing, like enjoying their time, telling us like, yeah, like if you want to go visit Australia, go in January. That's when it's hot over there. And we're like, oh, cool. And then, and we're like, I was like, how old are you? Like, she seemed mature. It was weird. Like, I guess the way she carried herself. She's like, I'm 28. I was like, oh shit, no, 27. She's like, I'm 27. I was like, oh okay. Like, you seem like you're about that age. Like, you just seem very mature. And she's like, I'm just kidding. I'm 21. I was like, what? And then I'm like, how old is your friend? She's like, I just turned 19. I was like, what?
Wow.
It's like, how long have you been out and about? She's like, oh, I'm going on my 4th month now. And I was like, what?
Just traveling?
Just random traveling, staying in hostels, random people. And I'm like, what the fuck? That's you. I'm like, you would never see that in America.
Yeah, most people are not doing that in the States.
You'd be lucky if you can get someone outside in America.
That's
and
true.
They started laughing. They're like, what? No way. Like, we're like, yeah. He's like, but she's like, something different y'all do is you guys travel to a different state or a different school around outside of your home area to go to study, and they're like, we stay in our parents' house till we finish school, and then we move out. And I'm like, yeah, it sounds kind of like what Mexicans do, but. And then she's like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah, like sometimes it's common, sometimes it's not.
Yeah, that's relatively common, but yeah, for the most part, I would say that a lot of kids they're trying to get away from their parents, and part of it is I don't know about European schools and universities, but in American universities, it's definitely a lot more trying to get away from parents so that you can go and party and do all the things that your parents wouldn't have let you do by staying at their house. So I think that's one big part of American culture where it's like a lack of respect for the rules that your parents have set out. And so like the first chance you get, you're trying to get away from home, which is understandable because like, I mean, we all want to get away from home at some point. And the earlier the better because you start your adult life. But I think a lot of Americans at least use that drive to get away from home really to start doing all the crazy things that they weren't allowed to do, usually for good reason. There are obviously some cases where your parents are just crazy helicopter parents that they're just sheltering you from everything, sheltering you from the world, and you have no opportunity to grow into an adult. But at the same time, it's kind of abused, I would say, in America versus in other European countries. I feel like they're, I don't want to say a bit more conservative, but a little bit more traditional, I guess you could say, in terms of their upbringing and you know, staying, like you said, staying home until they finish school.
Yeah, it's and then their parents are okay with them traveling throughout the world, just staying in hostels. It's so wild. It's like, oh yeah,
I will say they do seem to mature a little bit earlier than American kids.
they do. They get their shit straight like really quick.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? I don't know. I feel like in America, a lot of people are lacking, you know, a lot of just everything,
accountability, responsibility, self-worth, all kinds of things like that. I think I just had this thought. It's probably got something to do with single parenthood in a lot of ways. I think, I don't know the numbers, but if I had to guess, if I had to put money on it, I would say that single parenthood is a lot less common in other countries compared to America. Other developed countries, I would say, like Europe and whatnot. Whereas in America, it's very normal to have, you know, divorced parents and single parents and all of that. And, you know, be switching from house to house. And because of that single parenthood, it's a lot harder to grow into into an adult, into the person that you're supposed to be, I guess you could say, at the younger age. Whereas if you have both parents, there's a lot of stress and real world problems that you're kind of protected from in a way where you're not forced to, you know, develop these survival mechanisms, I guess you could say, as a kid in a single parent home. Whereas in a dual parent home, you have a lot more opportunity to grow and focus on growing as a kid into an adult versus, I don't know, it's hard to describe exactly what I'm saying, because on one hand, in a single parent home, you have to mature really quickly in a lot of ways, but at the same time, it forces you to focus on the wrong things for your growth. Like you might have to go to work earlier. You might have, you know, relationship issues. You're looking for validation in other people more than in your own accomplishments when you're in a single parent home. Whereas in a two parent home, you don't have to get that job earlier to help pay the bills. You don't have to, you're typically not looking for validation in other people if you had, you know, a healthy home life. Whereas I feel like in Europe, healthy home lives are more common than they are here. Does that sound
I don't know.
reasonable?
I didn't get too deep with that stuff. I really wish I would have hung out a lot longer with, you know,
the locals.
Locals that we met, you know, or like people that were also traveling from Europe, you know, or other places around that area besides America, to really get to know them, you know. That's why it was kind of nice when they said, yeah, if you ever find yourself in Australia or in Germany, Barcelona, or, you know, back here in France or something, let us know. We'll hang out next time you're here. We'll show you around the different like areas that we actually go to.
Yeah, the local spots as opposed to the tourist spots.
And I was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. I felt like, ooh, that'd be cool. Like, really get to know them, really know how life is out here.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, my buddy was talking to one of the girls out there because we went to Oktoberfest too. That's another wild thing.
Yeah, I believe it.
The beer, I don't really drink like constantly, or I don't really like crack a beer every day or every weekend. Like I
Pretty
rarely.
conservative with your drinking.
Oh, dude, like the only time I drink is like, either like you saw like my birthday, special occasions, certain fancy dinners. But other than that, I don't come home and crack a beer and watch TV or something. Like I used to do that, but now I see that it's kind of dumb.
It's a lot of wasted time.
Oh yeah,
And physical, health.
It's just horrible. But in Europe, it's normal. Like
their drinking age is a lot earlier, and
16 in Germany.
Yeah, and so like there's actually a lot of conversation about how that affects going back to college kids and getting away from home and doing all the crazy stuff they weren't allowed to. It's like alcohol is a lot more restricted here, and so it's not integrated into your life in the way that it is in European countries where the drinking age is lower. It's a lot more taboo to have a drink when you're underage in the States than it is in Europe. Like, I'm pretty sure in like Russia, because they have like vodka is their drink of choice in Russia. But I heard that if it was like below 5% alcohol content, it's considered soda.
Yeah,
Something like that. I don't know how true that is. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I heard. And it makes sense. But at the same time, it's like if you integrate a lifestyle that includes alcohol in a healthy way, then you're less likely to get these binge drinking alcoholism type problems when you get kids, they turn 21, really they turn 18 and go away to college and they're underage drinking. Everyone knows that happens pretty much all the time in colleges. Mm-hmm. And they end up just kind of destroying their lives because there wasn't any healthy integration of this substance that does affect you. It is a drug. But of course, it's not looked at like that quite the same.
The curiosity is like, don't drink. And it's like, ooh, like I want to rebel. And drink.
Exactly. And so when you integrate it and you have like a drink here and there with dinner, like your mom lets you have, or your mom or dad lets you have a sip of beer or wine or champagne or whatever it is at those special occasions, it kind of takes away from the taboo rebellious spirit that you might take on to go and get messed up when you turn 18 and go off to college and you're away from your parents, and so you're allowed to do all these things you weren't originally allowed to do.
Yeah, it's crazy. We were on a train going to Germany, and there was a group of German kids. They look like they're about like 16 through 18, young. Like, but these motherfuckers are big, bro. Like I was looking at these kids because I was like, man, like this is something you don't see in America. Like for me, it was like just the culture shock. It was just like, wow, like I mean, they look like they're like 16 through 18, and like these German kids were like, they were super fucking tall, and they were like just big, and like I was like, dude, they'd beat the fuck up any American out there. Like, sorry, excuse my language.
A lot of Americans are just twinks.
I'm sorry, but these guys, like, I felt like if I were to kick this guy in the shin, my leg would break. I was like, dude, and then
you don't have small legs, so that's impressive.
I don't, and I was like scared. I'm like, dude, and like these guys like fist were just like boulders,
massive,
and I was like, bro. I was like, I'm gonna be like this super nice American, just sit here
and be polite.
If they come up to me and they don't like Americans, I'm like, I'm gonna start speaking Spanish. Like, no sé, señor. Apparently, they love Hispanics over there.
Oh, that's cool.
Bad Bunny is like a big thing over there.
Oh yeah, Bad Bunny has gotten very big. I haven't really listened to any of his music.
It's wild. Like we'd be walking down like these shops or like cars and stuff. All you hear is like reggaeton playing from the shops. And I was like, where am I right now? And then it's like old school reggaeton. It's not even like brand new. It's like back in the day, like stuff like from 2000, 90s. I was like, whoa, how do y'all know this?
Yeah.
And I walk in the store. I'm like, he's like, oh yeah. Like Alex y Fido. And then I was like, what? It's like, you can barely speak like English. Like, how do you like? It's like, oh no, this is good music. And I was like, what the fuck? That's great. That's awesome.
That's cool.
But so much culture in Germany, especially during Oktoberfest. I feel like people from around the whole world come by.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There was Hispanic, like actual like native Hispanics, playing, you know, instruments like flute, and then dressed in like, you know, in I don't know what it would be called, but they have like, you know, the whole headband with feathers and like dressed up in like these like leather. It was weird. It was like very native Mexico. And I was like, man, that's awesome. Like this guy's over here like representing our culture, like from like the culture.
Yeah,
you know, and
that's cool.
Just in the corner playing music, you know, really representing, selling like little Mexican stuff and everything. And people were like around them, like German people were like around him, listening and recording him. I'm like, dude, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, it's valued over there just because it's not as common, I would say, because there's just not as many Latinos and just Latin culture aside from Spain. But I don't know if I would necessarily count Spain as much, just because it's Latin American culture, I guess you could say, because Latin Americans are typically coming to the U.S. Before they end up going to Europe and all of that, because third world countries and stuff like that. I would be surprised, probably.
I'll be walking around thinking I'm the only Mexican there. Turn to my left, there's people from Mexico speaking Spanish. Like, I'm like, ¿de dónde son? Oh, da, 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 da. I was like, oh, no shit. Like,
that's cool.
My family's from like, maybe like, you know, 2 states down. Like, oh, cool. Like, what are you doing over here? I was like, oh, just vacation. Like, oh, me too. I was like,
that's awesome.
I was like, hell yeah. Like, we're
roaming
the world.
Yeah. I think it's much more valued there just because it's not nearly as common here. I'm sure it is, like you just said, there are people from Latin America visiting all over the world, just like everyone everywhere does. Like everyone finds a way to visit the places they want to visit.
And they don't have the issue with the like passport. You know, in America, you have to have American passport to be, or like permission to go into America. I don't think it's the same for Europe, right? Like you can just kind of like go back and forth from Mexico and Europe.
Well, Europe is also just a very different setup geographically too, because like in America, it's oceans on 2 sides, and then Canada and Mexico, and America's also so large that like coming into America, they want you to have the American passport, where because there's only 2 places you could really be coming from if you're not flying in from another country, whereas in Europe, it's probably just way more common to have people coming in from other countries without having any paperwork, really, just because like Germany, and then I don't know the geography as well as I should, but then you've got Germany and Poland and France and all of these different countries right next to each other that you drive to and from. You know, it's an hour drive to go from country to country,
pretty much,
kind of thing. So like they're gonna have a lot more visitors from other countries and migration and all of that. It's going to be a lot easier for people to hop from country to country, whereas in the States, it's like you go from Mexico to America and you still have 20 hours of driving before you can get to Canada.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of that, I would say, as far as like why we have so much more strict travel and migration and passport laws than other countries do. If I had to guess, this is all my speculation.
I just remember my parents saying, it's easier to go to Europe than getting into America. Like I mean, obviously you can't overstay your stay.
Yeah.
Because you'll be flagged and they'll like find you and kick you out. But it's like, oh yeah, like if a Mexican wants to go to Europe, easily just fly over. All right, welcome. Okay, cool. Visit, vacation, boom, fly back. In America, you can't, like, a Mexican can't just be like, hey, I'm just here, gonna visit. Like, why?
Actually, that one other reason I just thought of is 9/11. Because of 9/11, like TSA changed, everything changed when it comes to traveling to and from America, that it's just way more strict because of 9/11.
I was worried though about the government shutdown.
Oh yeah.
Because they were like, they passed, I guess they passed it within like minutes. And if they didn't, TSA would have sucked.
Yeah, I believe it.
They would have had like 2 workers or something.
Oh man.
And then the line was already long to get back into America. And I was worried. I was like, why am I tripping? Like,
yeah, I got a passport. I'm good. I'm a citizen. All that.
For real. And like the guys are like, where were you at? And I was like, oh, I went to Europe. It's like, where exactly? Multiple locations, but just came back from Germany. Okay, who are you with? I'm like, oh, my buddy Jake. He's right over there. Do you have anything in your bag that's not supposed to be coming back here? And I was like, just like souvenirs. That's about it. And the guy's like, welcome to America, brother. And I was like, fuck yeah.
Okay, cool. That's good.
But that was my whole trip. I mean, lovely people. awesome. Made a bunch of friends out there. So hopefully when I go back, you know, God willing, I'll be able to hit him up and hang out with him, you know.
Yeah. Was there any like interesting things that you noticed? Granted, this is your first time in Europe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you wouldn't know if there was much of a difference like before the war in Ukraine to now, but was there anything that you noticed that you think might have been an effect from what was going on in Russia and Ukraine?
No.
Not really.
Did not really see anything. I mean, no.
Did you talk to people that were affected by it at all?
No.
That ever come up?
No, never came up, never was a topic. It wasn't even like a big deal. I feel like America just kind of like uproars it for sure. Like it just
it's a huge thing in the media here.
Over there, no one gave a damn. Like people were having a blast in Oktoberfest, super friendly, like having beers. The beer, by the way, the beer over there is crispy and clean.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even get a hangover.
Really?
No. I mean, I like I said, I don't drink. So when I do drink, it's like
I feel it after.
I don't definitely. I have like 3 or 4 beers and I'm like done. Like I only had 3 beers and I was done. But you know, I woke up next morning, no hangover. Didn't feel like dumb. Didn't feel like groggy. Didn't feel like I feel retarded. I was like, I feel good. Took a shower, went out again, had a couple more beers. Again, I drank like 2 or 3 and I was out. But no, never felt hungover. Never felt weird. Never felt like wanting to throw up. Nothing like that.
That's good. That's good.
But yeah, never encountered anything about Ukraine. Never encountered anything about war. The only thing is that the Italians were they're like, oh, like they saw my Mexican ass face. It's like, oh, Mexico, Mexico, and I was like, see, yeah, I'm from Mexico. And then they're like, yeah, mate, and they started chanting, they're like, Mexico, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'll go with this.
Yeah, cool.
And then they're like, he's like, oh, where do you live? And I was like, oh, I live in America. I study there. And then they're like, it's like, fuck America, Mexico, Mexico. I was like, yeah. And then they're awesome. They're like they grabbed my face. This Italian dude grabbed my face. He's like, I love you, my Mexican brother. And he like gave me like, you know how Italians like kiss their cheek? Yeah. He did it like 4 times. He's like, welcome to Germany. Come to Italy anytime. We'll take you as a brother. And I was like, oh my God.
Okay.
And I was like, sweet. I was like, Jake, we don't even get the fuck out of here before I get fucked.
Yeah.
But no, funny. Very awesome people. I loved it, man. I want to go back so bad already. I almost like purposely missed my flight. I was like, I ain't coming back to this. No, but I told my lady we're definitely gonna go back. Yeah. You know, one of the things I want to do is she doesn't know my plans, but and I know she doesn't listen to my podcast, sadly. But
no, that's fine.
She started to, and then she kind of like progressively stopped. You know, she's like, I already hear enough of you at home, so I don't.
Yeah, true.
And then, like my plan is to go this time to go to Portugal, Barcelona, Italy, because I know she really wants to go to Italy, and then go back to Switzerland because it's just beautiful, so peaceful. Yeah. It was like a vacation within a vacation. And then propose to her. That's the plan. So
yeah, we got to make sure she doesn't hear this because
yeah, I'll ruin my plan. Now she's really gonna be saving money. Like,
yeah, right.
No, but yeah, that's my plan, and I'm shooting for it maybe late May or early June, which is like our summer break.
Yeah,
for school. Before we start nursing program, that's if we get accepted into the program because it's so competitive.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, like I would like to do that, like propose, get the ball rolling on that. I mean, we've been together for like 3 years, going for 4. So I think it's like time.
It's about time, yeah.
The saddest thing, we went to Chick-fil-A literally the day after I got back. I was like, finally, American food. Chick-fil-A.
How was the food out there, by the way? Yeah, that was another thing that I think we talked about this before, how like in America you get all the
fat saturation, salt.
Yeah,
and all that.
Well, not even just that, but the pesticides we use, all the different food flavorings and colorings and all of that are legal here but illegal everywhere else. How was it?
I did want to eat a lot. Like I did want to, but you know, we were like always out and about, like going place to place. So we were able to stop at a couple places and really try like authentic food and like, you know, the pastries, like they're very big on pastries and like cafe,
yeah,
espresso shots and all that stuff. But their food, we would go eat, and I would eat like a $40-50 meal, and when I would eat, I wouldn't feel like bloated or like too stuffed, or I was like, I feel groggy. No,
The itis.
it was the weirdest thing ever. I was like, I feel good. It was like clean, good food, and I wouldn't feel like I got like oversaturated with salt or anything. Like the food was so clean. Like that's the only way I can describe it. Like I didn't feel like I needed more or I didn't have enough. I think it was just like right on the money, and like like I'm saying, like it does. You don't feel like oversaturated with all this like things they put here. Like I feel like here they use a lot of salt. Over there we would go out to eat. I even tried their McDonald's in Switzerland just to see like the difference. Their buns are a lot cleaner. I don't know. It was gluten-free buns. That was amazing. I was like, oh, this is good. And the chicken, so crispy and so like, it was just fresh. I don't know.
It tasted like actual food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
The fruit too. I was able to sneak. I went to a grocery store out there, grabbed an apple, super juicy. I was like, wow, this is amazing. The chicken salad, the greens, everything was awesome. The baguettes, awesome. Like the croissants, super fresh, nice and crispy. Like, oh, it was awesome. But yeah, like I said, never felt too stuffed, never felt overwhelmed, never felt anything. The water in Switzerland, super clean. I mean, clearer than clear. I mean, you're able to drink it off the faucet without having to worry about like all that fluoride and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like everyone should travel at least once in their whole life.
Absolutely.
To kind of open their eyes. I think it did open my eyes. I was like, damn, like, and the way like it made me like reflect a lot. I'm like, damn, I wish I would have done this when I was like freshly 18. Just like, all right.
Yeah, honestly, like I think that one mistake that we make a lot here is going immediately into school after high school, immediately into college, university, whatever. And I think it would benefit a lot of people in America to take some time off of school after, spending 12 years just being indoctrinated in all the different things that we're doing here, and, spend a year or two working, spend another year or two traveling, and really get an idea of who you are first off, and then just what the world has to offer before you decide what career field you want to go into. Because there's so many people that end up going into a career field, they spend a year or two, and then they spend that year or two and they're like, well, I've already spent a year or two here and I don't have any other skills. Changing jobs, changing career paths would be a pain in the butt. I already have all this experience and I have a track that I could go down if I stuck with this, so I'm going to just stick with this. And then they end up, hating themselves or their lives or the choices that they made early on before they had all the information.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, yeah, it would just benefit a lot of people if they would spend some time working first so that you can have the money to go travel, and then traveling and experiencing the world before settling into a set career path.
Yeah. I think that's definitely a big thing everyone should do. Definitely like just go experience life, go experience different cultures, go experience, go out there. I feel like a lot of people are very hostile here, where they're like, oh, if you go to Europe, you're going to get human traffic, or like, which it is scary. And don't go by yourself, go with a group, or another friend, and always be like, have have awareness of your surroundings, but don't be over there like, oh, tourists, like money hanging out of your pockets. Like, be safe, like play it smart. Learn how to survive on your own.
Yeah, that's another big part of traveling is you learn how to get around in an unknown place.
Mm-hmm. And even if you get lost, just if you're going to be out there for like 5 days, just make sure the last days when you're like kind of like, okay, we need to be here at this time and here at this time. Like, but besides the other days, take a train, get lost a little bit, roam around the town. Like, oh, this is cool. Find little spots here and there, go for it. Like, just get lost. I feel like if I were to go alone and I hopped on the train and it ended up in a different town, at least I know where I'm actually staying.
Yeah.
You can, now, we have technology, so we can Uber
so
anywhere.
Easy to figure out where you're at. Yeah, if you have a smartphone, which pretty much everyone does. I don't think, even if you're on welfare, you have an iPhone typically. So getting around in an unknown area is relatively easy. Like homeless people have smartphones.
Oh, yeah, dude. Like, there'll be times where, I can show you the map system of Europe. It's all metro and foot. That's what we were on the whole time. We never we maybe gone onto a Uber maybe like once or twice. But imagine this is what you deal with every day.
Oh wow.
This is Metro line, like from ads are annoying, but that was Europe. And, I mean that was London. This is Paris.
Okay.
So like we were like maybe in the middle. One place can take you like across Paris.
Yeah.
You end up on one side, you end up on this side, like go back and forth, just like roaming the whole city. It's beautiful. And then, like I said, you know, obviously London would be super easy because you know English.
Yeah. Yeah.
But everyone in Europe knows English.
Yeah. English is pretty much the common language everywhere.
Yeah. And
so that's nice.
It's surprising though, like everyone out there knows at least 3 to 5 languages.
That's another thing that I find really, really cool about other countries is that they actually know so many languages. In America, it makes sense that we don't know as many languages just because, like I was saying before, geographically, that it's Canada, Mexico, and the States, and then ocean on either side. And America's so large that everyone in America, for the most part, speaks English. So you don't really need to learn another language. It's the main language. Whereas in Europe, you have France, Germany, Poland. You've got all these different countries right next to each other where to be able to communicate with everyone, you have to learn so many different languages.
Oh yeah, it's competitive.
It is. And I think that's awesome. I would love to learn more languages. I only speak English right now, a tiny bit of Spanish, but that's pretty much it. And
it feels special. Like the receptionist at the hostel where we're staying in Paris, the guy knew English, French, obviously, and Spanish, like fluent. Like I talked to this guy like I was talking to my dad or something. Like this guy knew perfect Spanish. I was like, damn, bro, that's awesome.
That would be like the main reason that I'd be interested in like living in Europe and maybe raising kids in Europe in another country is just because they would, you know, have to learn so many languages. Whereas in the States, it's a lot harder to learn other languages just because the best way to learn is immersion. And yeah, you can hire tutors and you can do it. It's just expensive. You have to be very wealthy as an American to learn so many different languages. Whereas in European countries, that's just kind of how it is.
Yeah. Going out there just really made me push like wanting to learn French or learn German. Like I was like, man, I really need to download an app or maybe even take a class to learn another language. It would be nice. Because a lot of them, like, they're like, oh, I'm like, hey, what type of music you guys listen out here? You know, I was really interested. Do you guys have your own rappers or are you guys like mostly saturated by American rappers? It's like, oh, more or less, you know, we listen to a lot of American rappers, and like, but we also have German rappers, and some of them recommended some songs, and they're pretty dope. I was like, oh, okay.
I believe it. I know there's a decent rap scene in like London and Britain in general. And yeah, I've listened to a little bit of London and UK rap.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. But besides all that, it's just it really pushes you to kind of expand your horizon of like just wanting to improve yourself. Like obviously learning a new language, exploring different cities and learning different cultures. You know, artwork, history. You know, science. Especially London's a big thing on science. Like we went to a science museum. Very big on what's his name? Isaac Newton.
Yeah.
Charles Darwin. My buddy's like super into science, so we went to like he was just like you can see it in his face. He was just happy to be there.
Yeah.
It was so funny though. Like he's like, we went to this little area because like you know museums. I feel like they're great for kids. So there was a lot of like fake robotics, you know, fake dinosaurs and like robotics of dinosaurs and stuff like that, kind of like Disney. And he's like, this is stupid. Like, if I wanted to see some fake dinosaur, I would have gone to Disney or something, or Universal Studios. And I'm like, dude, relax. Like, this is also for children. This is kind of getting them to actually want to know more about science and whatnot about the whole world. And he's like, yeah, but it should be strictly for science. And I'm like, all right, man.
That's cool.
Yeah. No, but it was a great time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I fell in love with Paris and Switzerland. Nice. I really want to go back to Switzerland.
My parents went to France for so my parents, my stepdad and my little sisters, they race BMX bikes, and they went to France for a world championship in BMX, and they really liked France, but they liked Switzerland the most. They were saying that I would like Switzerland a lot, so
you would. So
Switzerland is definitely somewhere that I would like to visit. France sounds cool. They didn't really care for France as much, honestly.
It's not. How would I say? It's another city, But the liberty you have, like just the peacefulness, like you go to the garden that's around the Louvre, and like what we did, because we bought tickets to go into the Louvre, and it was like around, I think it was like around 11. No, it was around 1 or 2 o'clock that you were able to go in. And before we went in there, we grabbed some, like, we went to a grocery store, grabbed like some sandwiches and like a bottle of wine. So we sat down in the park, super chill, cracked open the wine, peacefully drank it, ate a baguette, ate a sandwich, and just enjoying like the environment, the vibe, the view. And then we're like, all right, let's go into the Louvre now. So I had like a wine drunk, and I was just kind of admiring all the artwork, the infrastructure, like the architecture, everything. I was just like, damn, man. It's like, imagine living here. Imagine being able to come to the park, crack open a bottle of wine, have a baguette, just unwind a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then my buddy
Sounds like a great experience.
Oh man, my buddy and I were like, how can you complain about life when you have all this?
Yeah, true.
And because in America you can't do that. You can't go to the park, open like a bottle of wine or a beer or something, or get arrested or something.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, besides all that, I don't know what else to tell you.
Well, it sounds like a great trip. Sounds like something we all need to do.
Yeah, definitely. I recommend everyone, if you have an opportunity, take it. Forget the PS5. Forget the new car.
Honestly, you should forget the PS5, the PC, the Xbox, all of that. Make a bunch of money as quickly as possible, and then travel. And then, if you really want to go back to your life of gaming, then do that. But open your eyes before you get back to, playing video games.
That's another thing, dude. That's another thing. Like coming back, I'm like, no, dude, I need to make some fucking money fast. I need to like in Mexico, like Mexican parents, like ponte las pilas, like basically saying like fucking like
quick.
Like
get on it. Light a fire under your ass.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. That light a fire under your ass. Like make money fast.
Yep.
Travel the world, because America is so small, honestly. So closed-minded. And you go to Europe, you experience so many great things, and it's like these younger people that are like within their 18 or even 16, dude.
Yeah.
16 to like 25, 28, and they've been above and beyond. Like they will run circles around all of us.
Yeah.
Just because everything they've seen and done. I mean, again, the geographic map in Europe is just so broad, and you do so many things. Like you drive an hour here and there, and you're over in a different country. But the only thing I did notice, because I was talking to one of the paraglide instructors and like the people that we flew with, and they're like, "Oh, so what do you guys do in America?" And we're like, "Oh, we work in the ER." And then their face just lit up. I was like, "What? Oh, what do you guys do there?" It's like, "Oh, like I don't think they know. Maybe they might know what EMTs and advanced EMTs and all that stuff is." But so we just said medics. And like, "Oh, medics. Oh, dude, we're in desperate need. Come work in Switzerland."
I was just gonna say, like, if you want to learn more languages, like, travel out there and work at a hospital there, get a work visa.
The guy's like, "My girlfriend's a nurse," and I'm like, how's nursing out here? Because that's what I'm majoring in. I want to get my BSN, because if you get your BSN here, this is what I've been told, you are able to work overseas. So I was like, ooh. I told him, like, well, I want to get my BSN so I can possibly work overseas one day. And he's like, yeah, man, like we're desperate need, and we're always low staff. And I'm like, oh, like, does your girlfriend love her job? She's like, she hates it because it's like understaffed, not enough pay. I'm like, shit, dude. I feel like the medical field is like universal language. Like,
I feel like that's how it is everywhere now. Like, especially after COVID. Like, it's not just in America that I think a lot of people started working from home and now don't want to go back to work. I feel like that might be a common. I know it's very big in the States here.
Oh yeah,
people are always looking for more employees, people that work hard, and all of that.
But not even that. Like, he was also saying, like, yeah, management doesn't want to hire new people. They don't want to pay more people. Like, they don't want to pay more for the people that already work there. I was like, that sounds like
so they need more people, but they don't want to pay for more people, and they don't want to pay the good people that they have more to keep them. And
I was like, that sounds like America.
Yeah.
He's like, wait, really? He's like, yeah, but California pays really good wages. I'm like, yeah, but the cost
it's
of living
expensive, so it evens out.
So he's
not.
like, oh, it's like, damn. So it's the same. I was like, oh, it's very the same.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a universal language at this point. And he was just telling me, he's like, wow, I didn't know that. And like, he's like, all the responsibility for low pay. And I was like, yes, it's the same shit.
Absolutely.
Like, wow. I thought it would be different. I thought like you had a little bit more respect. I mean, you're respected by the people, and they care that you're doing your job. I'm like, here, like you can't be like, oh, I'm sorry, we don't have this, and like, well, I mean, can I get your manager? Like, sorry, I shouldn't be saying shit like that.
Yeah.
but
no, I know what you mean though.
But I feel like in Europe, they're like, shut up. Like, we're trying to fucking help you here.
Yeah.
And people understand that you're trying to help them.
Yeah.
Here, it's just, everything's customer service. It's, yeah, you can't even tell the person, like, even if you have a waitress job, you can't tell the person, like, oh, sorry that, you can't do that. And it's like, well, I wanted to file a complaint now. And it's like, everything's a complaint. Everything's just like, you got to put this fake smile on. And for some reason, I don't know, I felt, who knows, because I don't even work there, but the little information I got, it just seemed like Europeans understand that you're really trying to help and protect these people and care for these people, and they kind of admire that. That's why doctors, nurses, medics, and anything in the medical field, they're like very highly valued, and they care, and they're like, yeah, come work for us. Like, yeah, like, it'd be awesome to have you guys over here. It's like, we need people. We need more people. And then,
Yeah.
Who knows? Switzerland, living in Switzerland, becoming medic, hell yeah.
That'd be sick.
Even if you don't like, even if you don't make much, you have the beautiful view, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I've the career path I'm working on right now, I'm going to become a certified welding inspector relatively soon. And what I was talking to a CWI out here, and he was saying, like, after you get certain certifications, you can do the same job in other countries also. And so that's one path I'm considering too, is going to work as a CWI in another country, because I mean, welders are everywhere in every country, and more tradespeople are always necessary. I really do think that the trade jobs, the blue collar jobs, are going to be a lot higher paid relatively, within the next 5 to 10 years, because a lot of people in trades, especially blue collar labor jobs like plumbing, electrician, welding, things of that nature, carpentry, all of these different jobs, I think, are going to be maybe not necessarily paying more, but they're going to be in a lot higher demand. So if you're really good at your job and maybe you start a business doing it, you can make a lot of money as a tradesman in pretty much any field, because there's a lot of the guys that are in it right now that are at the higher levels, they're older. And so in the next 5 to 10 years, they're going to be retiring. They're not going to want to be doing all the work. But then, so what that means is a lot of them are going to be leaving the workforce, and there's just going to be a lot of open positions. So I think for any of you tradesmen out there right now listening, or maybe you're young and considering a career field to go into, take a very serious look at the trades, because I mean, even nursing, which is also another trade, like, those are all going to be very, very in very high demand, especially when AI becomes a lot more useful and in use, as far as taking jobs. Like, the trade jobs are not going to be taken over by AI, not anytime soon. The robotics industry is making strides, and maybe in the next 5 to 10 years they'll figure out how to have robots that can weld a beam, that can weld all the parts in and put all the parts in the right place and do that. Boston Dynamics robots are pretty impressive, honestly. But I don't think in the next 5 to 10 years they're going to be, labor force ready. And then on top of that, like, those robots are going to be extremely expensive. So there aren't going to be that many companies that will be in a financial position to buy those robots, let alone maintain them, because they're going to need maintenance also. It's probably going to be as expensive, if not more, to have a robot doing all these different things. And then on top of that, people don't necessarily want to interact with robots. They would rather interact with people, especially when it comes to trade and labor jobs. If you have a plumber coming to your house, you don't want a robot coming to your house. You want a person. You want someone you can relate to. So the robotics industry, AI, those are not going to take over the trade jobs, whereas the white-collar jobs, whether you're an accountant, you're a coder, all the different white-collar jobs, they're not going to be taken over by AI, or those ones are going to be taken over by AI much sooner than trade jobs will.
I believe that, yeah, because, I mean, the only benefit about having a robot coming to your house, never mind.
You're not going to be worried about theft. You're not going to be worried about
raising up your wife, you know what I'm
saying? That's another point. Yes, absolutely. You're not going to have a lot of the human issues, but you are going to have a lot of robotics issues, and you're going to have a lot of issues with the lack of a human. There's a give and a take for sure with anything like that. Is you're not going to have the issues of dealing with a personality that you don't like, but you're also not going to have a personality to like. It's just going to be a robot.
That'd be really interesting, actually. Like, having a robot come into your house just to get the job done and leave, like that. That's some future. That's some, like, Joe Rogan type shit right there.
Yeah,
I feel like that's
I mean,
something that he would like.
That's some Black Mirror. That's a Black Mirror episode, honestly.
Yeah, and one thing I did see was that Amazon store where you just walk in, grab what you want, you walk out. That was a trip.
Yeah,
and I was like,
that's another thing is like baggers and store clerks and all of that. Those are going to be taken over by AI relatively quick. I mean, we already have self checkout at Walmart. We've had that for I don't know how many years. So it's just going to get worse. It's just going to get more difficult to make money.
I wanted to go into that store like really bad just to kind of like check it out. And my buddy's like, yeah, we can't go in there. I was like, why not? He's like, because you can't, like, if you go in there and you want to buy something, you can't just like pay for it there. You literally just walk out and they'll charge you later. And I'm like, but I have an Amazon account. Like, just
why can't I go in there?
Yeah. He's like, no, we can't go in there. And I was like, I really wanted to experience that.
Yeah.
Like,
Is
interesting.
he paranoid about the government or something?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, he's like, they have our face registers. So if we do anything, like, because I mean, London was hard on CCTV.
Yeah.
Europe
CCTV is huge.
Because the way you go in, super trippy. Like, scan your passport, scans your face, and the doors open. Beep, you just go in. But they have you registered.
Yeah.
So they have your face registered everywhere you've been to. So it flags everything. Like, so when you come back to America and they ask you, like, oh, where were you at? And you lie.
They can see all that.
They know where you've been. They know where you walked by. Everything. They can pull up anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, shit, that's crazy. But here in America, what my buddy was saying is, like, all our tax money is being overused and waste of money. Like, why do we need to go through double security? Like, we went through, like, hardcore security when we were flying, before we flew back to America. So we went to the airport, got all our bags checked, like, hardcore, pat us down. Like, the Germans are just, like, in there, dude. And then my buddy got pulled to the side because the zipper on his sweats flagged him. He's like, come here. And they sat him down in a little corner, and they kind of like, oh, it might have been the zipper. They're like, okay. They let us by. But, like, hardcore security check and everything. In America, they made us go through another security checkpoint, and it's like, for what? We just literally got off a plane, and we walked through this hallway to TSA, checked back into America, and then went through another security screening, and it's like, that's just a waste of money. It's like there was no possible way we could stop or grab something else. It was like literally from security point in Germany to the plane, from the plane to TSA through another security checkpoint, and then from there to another plane. It's like, it's almost impossible to bring or, do something. I was like, this is a waste of money for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's also proven. It's been proven multiple times that TSA is not stopping like 90% of what comes through. There was some news organization that did a test to try and get stuff that they weren't supposed to through TSA. And 90% of the time or 80% of the time, something like that, they were successful in getting whatever it was through.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like
not
all our tax money is being wasted on bullshit.
Yeah. And then there was, why we have to take our shoes off So the reason you have to take your shoes off is because there was one time where someone had a bomb in their shoe, I guess, or they were trying to blow up the plane with a shoe bomb, essentially. And it didn't end up working, but they got it through TSA. And so ever since that, we have to take our shoes off before going through the plane. And it's like, is it really that inconvenient? No, not really. But we're gradually building up all of these different things that we have to do. It's like frogs in a pot. And this isn't actually true. The idea is that if you boil water and throw frogs in the pot, they'll jump out. But if you put the frogs in the water and then have it gradually go up in heat, they'll eventually just boil because the gradual change in heat isn't so shocking, so they don't jump out immediately. This isn't actually true. They will jump out eventually because obviously if it's too hot, they're going to find somewhere cooler. But the idea is that government and companies, whatever the case may be, will gradually increase the amount of restrictions that are on you until eventually all of your freedoms are gone. Whereas if they were to take away all those freedoms all at once, there would be a huge revolt. A lot of the freedoms that we have restricted today, I mean, 100 years ago, we would totally have revolted if we went from the government restrictions and the way things are done in government today, if we went from how it was 100 years ago to how it is today, like overnight, there would be pandemonium.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know what you mean. You can't just like instantly like shock someone because you start freaking them out, and then that's how it cause chaos around the world. Like, I mean, COVID, toilet paper.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Goodness gracious, that
just shows how small-minded we are, like how little brain, how sheeple act,
a lot of sheeple.
Honestly, when that happened, I literally like saw this going down. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? You know, the only reason why I started getting worried is like, shit, like I'm eventually gonna need some toilet paper.
Yeah, right.
But I never went out and about. I just waited it out, like, because. Like, damn, people really taking dumps like that many times, like, throughout the day. Like, shoot, bro. Like,
and toilet paper is the last of your worries. You're worried about food more than anything. Like, you can
exactly.
If you really comes down to it, you can take a rag or an old shirt and wash that. If you had to
jump in the shower last time, get a what is that called? A
bidet.
Bidet.
Yeah, but it's just crazy. How was the COVID? Was there any COVID weirdness over there? No,
that's good. Yeah, there was no such thing. Like, I took my card, and just in case, we went to like some like outskirts town or something, they were like kind of a little bit more strict about it. But no, that's good. No one was even wearing masks.
That's good.
Nothing. The only people that were wearing masks were like the Americans getting on the plane and flying over to Europe. And then once people noticed that no one was wearing masks, they're just kind of like.
Yeah, just like slowly put this away. Not be the weird American that still has a mask on.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, crazy.
Nah, I'm sorry. I stole this whole show.
No, you're good. I was interested in the Europe trip. I think it's a lot of good stories for the people to hear.
But something that's funny that you brought that up about the Ukraine thing and like the whole war going on over there and stuff like that. Because no one seemed to bother. No one seemed to care. A lot of Chinese in Switzerland, though, like in like. A lot, like the majority, like 98% of the people that were in Switzerland were Chinese.
Really?
Yep.
That's interesting.
A lot of
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Maybe like I don't know what they're called, but I think there might be like Persian or like it's like those people that just kind of go from country to country and they don't even like own a home or anything. Like they have money, but like they just kind of go out.
Well, Persia is its own country. Do you mean like
I forgot what it was called.
I know what you mean. I know what you're looking. The word you're looking for. I think, where they just travel around.
And like they don't even like stay at hostels or anything. They just kind of like stay up all night, and they're like, okay, I'm tired of this place. Let's go to this place now. Like kind of like would it be considered
nomads?
Nomadic, maybe. Like they have money. Like they're rich.
Oh, okay.
And Saudis, a lot of
Saudis. Okay, gotcha.
No, but also a lot of Saudi Arabian people in London, like big time. And then like we were at this pub, and this guy was next to us, and he's like, "Hey, you got a match or a lighter?" And we're like, and I had one surprisingly in my bag. I don't know, I packed random shit. I had a pen, eye drops, lighter just in case. I was like, "Oh yeah, here." And then lit his cigarette. He's like, "Where are you guys from?" I'm like, "Oh, we're from the States." He's like, "Oh wow, cool." Like, you guys been to San Diego? He's like, "Oh, I'm actually originally from there." He's like, "Oh, no way. I love San Diego."
Yeah.
And then I'm like, "What are you doing out here?" He's like, "Oh, we family owns business out here. I'm a auditor."
Oh.
So we're like, "Oh, sick." This guy jumps into fucking Benz. I was like, "Damn."
Yeah.
This guy has money. This
is
finance bro type of thing, yeah.
Interesting.
A lot of important people out there. I mean, Saudi Arabia is a rich country, so.
Yeah, it is. It's a very rich country. Yeah. But we're about an hour in.
Yeah, we are.
It was a lot of good info on Europe, and I enjoyed hearing about your trip. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about Europe. Definitely find your way out to another country, find your way to Europe, find your way to whatever country you want to visit. Doesn't have to be Europe, of course. My personal bucket list country to travel to is Japan. I really want to see Japan because I'm a huge weeb. I like the Japanese cars, martial arts movies, anime, all of that. So Japan is definitely like number one on my bucket list. But Switzerland, of course, I want to check that out. Europe would be cool. The UK, all of these different countries. I'd like to see Russia actually too. Russia sounds interesting.
Cool.
But yeah, definitely, if you guys are looking for something to do, make some money and travel to another country.
Definitely. Don't waste your money here. I mean,
Yeah.
not trying to be like biased or anything or like rude about America, but like I love this place.
Love America.
But definitely like expand your horizon for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. See the world, see all of the different things that the world has to offer, and make some moves.
Yeah, make some moves, make some friends, make connections, because you know people are friendly out there. Don't listen to what other people have to say about like different countries, or don't listen to what the news has to say about what's going on, because most of it is just propaganda, honestly.
Yeah, it's a lot of overhyped stuff that doesn't really affect you as much as you might think.
Yeah. Honestly, the scariest part for me was the plane ride.
A lot of turbulence.
Sometimes, but the scary part was when like we were taking off from Salt Lake City to Utah,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy's like,
Salt Lake is in Utah.
I mean, Michigan,
Gotcha.
Detroit,
Gotcha.
Detroit to Salt Lake, and the guy's like, just got some technical difficulties. The mechanics are checking out the engine. I was like, like, get me out this motherfucker.
Get me out this plane.
And then it's like, yeah, we have to manually crank the engine. I was like, no
way. You gotta manually crank the engine
I'm done.
on a anyway.
And then it's like, you know, mid air, like all you hear is, I was like, oh, we're going down. We're going out. I just put on my headphones, put on my little neck pillow, and I was like, if I die,
I just need to fall asleep. I need to die in my sleep if I'm gonna die.
Literally,
Yeah.
dude. I was like, nope, this isn't happening
That's
to
funny.
me. Like, I went to Europe. I'm like, screw it. You know, at least I got to see it
At least I
before
got to see all that.
I was like, I
Yeah.
made it home so close. I was so close. No, but honestly, that was the scariest part for me. And then we landed safely, and then I was like, thank God.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Let's close out this podcast.
We're about to go destroy legs right now.
Yep. All right. It's been some young guys trying to solve the world's problems in a podcast.
And glad that you guys were here once again listening to us.
Absolutely. I'm Lee Mac.
I'm Carlos. And we'll see you soon again.
Absolutely. Peace.